Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Joining me is, of course, my most adorable co-host, Nora, journeyman storyteller and initiate to the 7th circle of lore. She is currently making knowledge nature checks. Earlier, she was practicing her flurry of blows and grappling abilities. Certainly a very well-rounded initiate and learning so very much. But as much as I'd love to continue singing my daughter's praises and giving you all an update on her current status and what she's learning, we are here today to actually finish up the Bard's Bardic Performance ability. We're going to wrap the last few things up here, and then next time around we'll be moving on to the Bard's spellcasting abilities and kind of taking a look at what spells end up working out really well for this particular build. So we'll just roll right on along here and we'll start talking about Soothing Performance. Now this kicks in at 12th level. Your performance can now activate a mass cure serious wounds with your level used as the caster level, which is pretty nice. This will remove the fatigued, sickened, and shaken conditions from those that are affected. The big drawback, though, is that this requires 4 rounds of continuous performance, and the targets must be able to see or hear you for the visual or for the performance. And this does use audible and visual components. And why I say that's a bit of a drawback, because you have to use a move action each of the 4 rounds, at least at this level you have to use a move action, to heal 3d8 plus 12, and you will hurt undead for the same. You can't stealth, and this activates at the end of those 4 rounds. So if you end up getting interrupted somehow, then, well, you've just used up some of your Bardic Performance for nothing, essentially. It is nice to have this as a healing spell in your back pocket. Certainly this is something I would say is probably more useful in downtime, or if you're surrounded with undead and need to heal as well as cause some damage. In certain situations this can be useful, but as far as what you might be using in combat, which is where you really want to make efficient use of your Bardic Performance and, use the remainder at the end of the day with this to heal your allies, you want to go with some of the other options that help boost your allies' abilities, because healing in the middle of combat is not the most efficient method, because, well, it doesn't matter if you have 50 or 100 hit points, or if you've been knocked down to your last 5, or even 1. You still have your full base attack bonus, you access all of your abilities, you can do all the things. So you don't really need to worry about healing in the middle of combat too much. The fact that this removes these other conditions is useful, but again, you have to spend 4 rounds to get this ability to go off properly. And you have presumably have other casters in your party that can do this faster, using fewer actions, fewer resources, and also remove all these other effects with other means. So, it's nice that you get it for free, but it's not something I'd want to say you really want to depend on. In a pinch, great, but yeah, definitely don't regularly use this one. But one that we have coming up after that is Frightening Tune, and this one I do kind of like quite a bit. Use your performance to cause fear in opponents. The enemy must be able to hear you perform and be within 30 feet. And then each enemy within range will get a DC 10 plus 1/2 your level, plus your charisma modifier for a will save. And that'll be the difficulty of it all. And this will stop, if they save, they stop the effect. The creature will be immune to this for 24 hours. But if they fail, then the target becomes frightened and will flee for as long as the target can hear the performance. Frightening Tune relies on audible components. Now, maybe with a little bit of setup, you can stretch that out a little bit there, because that wording, as long as they're able to hear the tune, you can do a lot to make that keep going. Ghost sound comes to mind, or if you're in a place with really good acoustics, like old cathedrals, and you're playing on one of those large organ pianos, just where the sound just carries and reverberates, even beyond the walls. mean, shoot, those pianos can make some terrifying sounds to boot, too, so it just fits in with that frightening tune ability. So this one is pretty good. Now, granted, by 14th level, you're going to be really starting to find some enemies that are immune to fear effects like that, but they're not going to be as frequent, and you're also still going to be facing lower level opponents, or at least lower challenge rating opponents, who are definitely much more susceptible to this. So this one is actually pretty nice, and the fact that it only costs one of your Bardic Performances to fire off is pretty nice. Definitely a great one to have. My only gripe with it is, like with most of these, that the range limit is 30 feet. I get why they did that, but, music can carry a bit better further than that, but we can argue about that all the livelong day. Moving on, we come up to Inspire Heroics, and this is one that kicks in at 15th level, and this is another one that I really, really like, the mechanical benefits of. You inspire heroism in yourself or one ally within 30 feet. And for every 3 levels, you can inspire heroics in 1 additional creature. Inspired creatures gain a +4 morale bonus on saving throws, a +4 dodge bonus to AC, and the effect lasts for as long as the targets are able to witness the performance. Inspire Heroics is a mind-affecting ability that relies on audible and visual components, so like I said, your allies need to be able to hear and see you. So I like this one especially because of the +4 morale bonus on saving throws. That's nothing to sneeze at all. That's a pretty solid bonus to get at any level. So having it stack on everything else that your allies have is great. And the +4 dodge bonus to AC, well, that affects a lot of different things. It's not armor class, so this will help to block touch spells, which is vital for your fighters and your paladins who rely on heavy armor that touch spells normally negate. This also affects ray spells, which again function like ranged touch spells. So this is a really, really nice thing to have as a bonus thrown on top of your allies. So definitely a very good one to have. And at this level, touch spells, ray spells, all of those kinds of things are definitely going to be a continuing concern. But we come up to Mass Suggestion after that, and this one kicks in at 18th level. This works just like Suggestion, but allows you to make a suggestion to any of the creatures that you have already fascinated. Mass Suggestion is an enchantment, compulsion, mind-affecting, language-dependent ability that relies on audible components, and you can see right there why that... at this level, at 18th level, I think this one would have been better a couple levels back. Like, swap it out. Swap it out with something else and put something else in the 18th level here, because by this point, unless it's like a plot that's delicate and subtle and definitely is more RP focused, you're probably not going to get a lot of use out of this one. Granted, I can't foresee or know all situations you might find yourself in, and certainly I can imagine a couple where this might prove useful, but by 18th level, you're probably going to have other means of getting around challenges that are just a bit more effective and allow you to save your different Bardic Performances for other things like Inspire Heroics or Inspire Competence or things like that. So, again, not bad. This one can be good. I can certainly see a lot of opportunity for it, but is it better than other means of circumnavigating obstacles? I don't think so, at least not in most cases, unless you really need to save some of those options for an exit strategy. But again, that just depends on so many what-if scenarios. So let's go ahead and just advance on to the capstone for Bardic Performance, and that is Deadly Performance. Your performance achieves such heights as to be deadly to the target you select. You pick one target within 30 feet. I hate that limitation, but I get it. And this has a DC of 10 plus 1/2 your level plus your charisma modifier for the will save. If the target saves, they are staggered for 1d4 rounds, and you can't hit them with this again for 24 hours. If they fail, they die from either sheer joy or absolute terror. Deadly Performance is a mind-affecting death effect that relies on audible and visual components. Now, at level 20, affecting one target with an instant death effect. That's not, on its own, that's not great. It's good if it works, but creatures with good will saves at that level are going to be pretty frequent, and there are plenty of creatures out there that are immune to death effects, but the fact that this will stagger a target is useful, and the fact that it can stagger them for more than one round is great. The only thing is that depending on the interpretation, if they're immune to the death effect, do they automatically take the stagger, or are they immune to the stagger effect as well? Because this is in and of itself inherently a death effect. So if they're immune to the death effect, are they immune to the staggering that this would otherwise cause? Personally, I would, especially since it's a level 20 capstone ability, I would allow the bard to still stun the target. They can't kill them if they're immune to a death effect, but being able to stagger them seems appropriate, especially for a level 20 ability. And when you're thinking about a level 20 epic level bard using magic or using music to weave and create their magics with these mystical performances, well, hell, I can certainly see reason to allow a level 20 bard to have that effect, especially if they can't insta-kill them. Allowing them to hit them with a stagger, I think, is reasonable. But, of course, that's my opinion, and I'm looking at this from a RP being flexible on the rules kind of side of things, which is generally what I favors. If you're a DM or storyteller that favors going more rules as written, then, this gets a little bit trickier and may not have as much use. But for what it's worth, I still like it, and I like that interpretation and that take on it that I have. And I certainly would doubt that I'm the only one that looks at it that way. But that's just my take, that's my position. Please certainly share with me your own thoughts on these abilities and the Bardic Performance. The whole suite of tricks, neat little techniques and abilities that just come about with it are awesome. I like the diversity, and I know I was just ragging on soothing performance, but I actually do just kind of like soothing performance. Certainly, mechanically, I think it works better as like a camp skill, help everybody recover after a battles, heal some aches, soothe their minds, ease their tensions, and get them just ready to rest and be ready for a new day of adventuring. But like I said, that's role play. That's not just looking at things from a mechanical perspective, or at least not an entirely mechanical perspective. Certainly go down below and share your thoughts, comment. I love engaging in the conversation here with all of you. And if you enjoyed today's video, go on down there, let me know, hit the like button, and leave your thoughts and comments. If you didn't, still do the same. Hit dislike and let me know what you disagreed with, what you thought was wrong overall. Or if you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more, well then I've got good news for you, my friend. There are going to be 2 more videos popping up over this away somewhere that will take you to more content here from the Gamers Den. But if this has been your final stop for the day, or if or whatever you may be up to for the rest of your evening, I have been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. This has been my co-host, Nora, journeyman storyteller and initiate to the 7th circle of lore, conjuring up and playing and toying with different new homunculi that she has conjured with specific reagents of a green variety. But with that said, once again, I've been your host. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.